Alright, what's up guys? It's Brady here with Gonz, Noke, and Nova. And in this video, we're going to talk about the biggest peak week mistakes that bodybuilders make before they step on stage. So let's get into it. Now, something important that I want to mention though is that it's going to be different for natural athletes compared to those using performance enhancing drugs. There's a lot of different steroids out there, a lot of different basically drugs that are illegal in the natural world that completely change the peak week scenario and protocols. So if you are a natural athlete, this is what you want to do. If you're not natural and you have a coach for steroids and all that cool stuff, listen to them. They probably know what they're doing, especially if they have the correct experience, but this is for everyone else. Everyone is different, so I'm gonna try to keep this as general as possible. And in the end, you should follow what your coach says because they know best. And lastly, before we get into these, I wanna say that most of the issues that come with peak week come along with just not being ready, not being lean enough. If you're blaming all these other things on why you're watery, soft, or looking puffy, honestly guys, it's probably because you're not ready. You should have been ready before peak week, preferably 1, 2, 3 weeks before peak week, and then your peak week is going to be incredible. All right, for reference guys, I have a lot of these, so there's probably like 10 mistakes here, so bear with me. I'm gonna try to explain each one as best as I can so you can completely avoid these mistakes. I see these all the time, and as a coach, it's really frustrating. I make sure that my athletes are following good, safe, proper protocols before they step on stage. This past summer, we had a bunch of athletes for Nova, and they all just absolutely killed their shows, did amazing, even for their first time. And guys, it's all because they follow just proper programming, proper protocols for peak week. I can promise you that this can make or break your show. Nothing is worse than prepping for 18 weeks and then you just completely ruin everything on peak week. So let's not do that. Follow these, and yeah, here we go. All right, so number one is cutting carbs. Now there's a few ways that people do this incorrectly. One way is they try to backload. Technically this can work, but it comes with a lot of unnecessary risk. And so for my athletes, we do not backload our carbs. Basically what that means is during peak week, you cut carbs almost completely or put your carbs very low. And then at the very end, right before your show, you just eat hundreds and hundreds of carbs in the hopes that you have this super compensative reaction where your body intakes carbs better somehow and then you look better on stage. Basically, that's not really how it works, and it comes with a lot of risk. You could not fill up enough, you could fill out too much and actually spill over with your carbs, and then you'll just look soft and bad on stage. And honestly, you just don't need to do any of that. Not only that, but cutting carbs that late into a prep is going to be bad for your muscle maintenance. You actually need those carbs to maintain muscle. You know, obviously you need protein too, but those carbs are going to be essential. And the last reason that people do this, cutting carbs, is because they still think that carbs are inherently fattening. They aren't. I promise you, all that matters is calories. And from experience, you actually want to have a decent amount of carbs this late into your prep because your performance is going to be better. You're going to maintain your muscle mass more. You're going to be less stressed out, less cortisol. You're going to have less edema going on, you know, puffiness and all that stuff. So keep your carbs normal. If anything, guys, you want to be increasing your carbs during peak week slowly to see how you're filling out and adjust accordingly. So lastly, to sum that up, there is absolutely no need to cut your carbs dramatically. It is not gonna make you look better. You're not gonna have some sort of compensative reaction where you look better on stage because you ate 800 carbs the night before and all this crazy stuff. You don't need to do that. All right, and this goes into number two, which is cutting water. The idea behind this method is because they believe that they can cut out the subcutaneous water, which is the water that we hold underneath our skin, which would make you look drier. Now the issue with this is just not how it works. Actually, 70% of the water that we hold is inside our muscle cell. And because of homeostasis, our body isn't going to just get rid of the water underneath our skin and keep all the water in our muscles naturally. Homeostasis is your body's balance system. It is going to maintain the ratio of 70% of the water in your muscle and 30% everywhere else. So if you cut water, all you're doing is just decreasing the water that's in your muscles, which will make you look smaller, not allow you to get a proper pump, and because you're getting smaller, you'll probably look less lean because your muscles aren't as filled out. So cutting water is absolutely a terrible idea. Honestly, guys, if anything, you should maybe slightly increase your water. That way that you're gonna get the best pump ever, and know that you're not gonna hold extra water underneath your skin because that literally doesn't make any sense. And once again, if you're feeling watery and puffy, it's because you're not lean enough. And that actually goes with the next one, which is cutting sodium. People also think that if they cut sodium, they'll be able to cut specifically the water underneath the skin. Once again, this is false. That's not how our bodies work. Completely impossible for that to happen. And actually, once again, if anything, you would want to increase your sodium, because that sodium is how you're going to get a great pump, look super vascular, and lastly, that sodium is gonna help you not cramp on stage when you're flexing for 5 minutes straight. Honestly, like, you should probably increase your sodium right before you step on stage. That's gonna help with the process. But other than that, throughout peak week, you should keep your sodium completely normal. And with that comes the next one, which is using diuretics. The thing about caffeine is it's not actually an effective diuretic. Number two, they still think that it's gonna pull water just out of the subcutaneous areas, like underneath your skin, rather than your muscles, which we know, once again, that's not true. That's not how it works. And lastly, taking all that caffeine, honestly, is just probably gonna make you sleep really bad, recover really bad, maybe even make you kind of puffy from edema because you're not getting enough sleep, you have a bunch of cortisol, all that stuff. So honestly, I would stay away from diuretics other than just using like pre-workout for your workouts, but don't try to overdo it because it's not how it works. Now, this next one is about just training too hard during peak week. Now, peak week is not the time to transform. You should be ready well before peak week. I think this is actually kind of cliche to say, but peak week is not a time to evolve and transform. That's not going to happen. You should be ready before. And so what will happen is some people will try to train super hard and diet super hard all through peak week, thinking that they're gonna look their best on their show day because of it. Now, this is actually the opposite of what you wanna do. During peak week, it would be a better time to actually deload, let your body fully recover. If not, then you're probably gonna end up going on stage looking flatter, smaller, tired, weak. The lack of recovery can cause edema, which will basically hold water and look a bit fluffier. And we want to avoid all of that. So stop your training hard, actually deload, cut down on your cardio, all of that stuff. And you're gonna look way better. All right, so this next one's actually a little bit funny, but like I said, you wanna increase your sodium, and a lot of guys know this, but pink Himalayan salt is kind of hype right now. And to be fair, it is filled with minerals and things like that, and it's a bit healthier for you than white salt. But the funny thing is, pink Himalayan salt actually is way less sodium than normal white table salt. And so guys, I'll see them backstage with their little pink salts, like cranking them on their rice cakes and stuff. And literally all they're doing is just making their food taste super salty, but not actually have the sodium that they're trying to get. So avoid pink Himalayan salt and just use normal white table salt. All right, so this next one is eating new foods that your body isn't used to. Now, it's kind of hype because you'll see like your favorite guy on YouTube that competes, who goes to IHOP or goes to Chick-fil-A or whatever it may be and just stuffs their face before their show. Now, the reason you shouldn't do this is because if you haven't been eating IHOP or Chick-fil-A or whatever for the past 3 months, and then all of a sudden you're gonna introduce it to your diet right before you step on stage, guys, I mean, you don't know what could happen. Your body could just reject it. You could get really bloated. It's just not safe. So if anything, just test out these foods a week or two before, see how your body handles it, and go from there. But you should never be eating foods that you're not used to. Stick with what works. And that kind of feeds into this next one, which is just doing crazy things that you've never done before. That goes along with training, with cardio, with eating. Just do what has been working. Don't try to run 10 miles the day before your show thinking you'll burn tons of calories and look better. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do different exercises. Just do what's been working, what your body is used to, and that is how you effectively peak. Just nice and easy. And the last one is not practicing your peak before you have to step on stage. With my athletes, we actually do a mock peak week about a week before the show, just to make sure that we know what foods they want to eat before stage. They know how many carbs they should have. They know exactly what to do. So then when it's time to step on stage, it's just going through the motions of what they know is absolutely going to work. And that takes off a lot of stress rather than hoping that this Snickers bar and this banana is gonna make you look good. It's a lot better just to know that it's going to make you look good. Bonus one. All right, this is, I see a lot of guys doing this, and basically during peak week, they'll hit the sauna super hardcore. Now, the reason they're doing this is, once again, they think that the sauna is going to drain out their subcutaneous water. And now, in a sense, it does, but what they don't realize is because of homeostasis, literally as soon as you start sweating water from underneath your skin, the water from your muscle is going to drain into your subcutaneous areas to re-establish the correct ratio of water. So by hitting the sauna before your show or the week of your show, all you're doing is just draining the water out of your muscles, making them look smaller. That's a bad idea, so just don't do it. All right guys, there you have it. Those are the biggest peak week mistakes I see, so avoid these if you want to have the best peak and look great on stage. But if you have any more questions, leave them below. And also guys, if you want me to make a video about how to peak correctly, leave a comment below, let me know, and maybe that'll be in my next video if you guys are interested. But thanks so much for watching. Make sure if you haven't, give this video a like, and we will see you in the next video. Peace out.